In the village of Umweze, there was one person everyone feared and needed at the same time. Her name was Mama Nkechi. She was not the richest or the most beautiful in the village or even the most respected, but she knew everyone's business. If you sneezed in your backyard, Mama Nkechi would know before the sound reached the road. If two lovers argued in the bush path, she would somehow hear it and give the details to the entire market before sunset. People said she had long ears for other people's matters and a mouth like the village gong. Once it opened, the whole village would hear. One hot afternoon, she sat under the mango tree near Mami Ijeoma's shop, fanning herself and drinking palm wine. That's when she saw Neze walking by with Chioma the widow. The way Mama Nkechi's eyes lit up, you would think she had just found gold. By the time the sun went down, she had told at least 7 people that Chioma was secretly pregnant for Neze. The next morning, the whole village was buzzing with the news. But there was one problem. Chioma was not really pregnant. She had simply eaten too much yam the day before. Mama Nkechi laughed it off. She didn't see it as a big deal. After all, what was life without small gist? She didn't know that someone had been watching her, an old strange woman who had had enough of her mouth. That evening, while Mama Nkechi was still laughing over the pregnant widow's story, a strange old woman appeared from nowhere. Nobody knew where she came from. Her wrapper was faded, her hair was like dry grass, and her eyes were sharp, like she could see into your thoughts. She walked slowly, leaning on a crooked stick, and stopped right in front of Mama Nkechi. Water, she told Mama Nkechi. Mama Nkechi didn't even stand up. She shouted out for a small boy to bring water from Mami Ijeoma's shop. The old woman drank the water in slow gulps, and then she wiped her mouth with the back of her hand. "You," she said, pointing at Mama Nkechi, "your mouth is too quick. You throw words like stones and you hide your hands." Mama Nkechi laughed and waved her hand. "See, old woman, this is a village. If I don't talk, how will people know what is happening?" The old woman's face did not change. "From today," she said, "if you speak lies or spread what you have not confirmed, the wind from your belly will speak for you, loud enough for the whole world to hear." Before Mama Nkechi could talk, the woman turned and walked away. She did not even look back. She didn't greet anyone. By the time Mama Nkechi stood up to insult her, the woman had disappeared into the evening. Mama Nkechi hissed and said, "Nonsense. Who even invited this one into my afternoon?" She did not even know that the real story was just about to start. The next morning, Mama Nkechi was in the market early. The sun was barely up, but she already had 2 new pieces of gist waiting to fly out of her mouth. She sat by the pepper seller, chewing groundnut and scanning the road for any new drama. Then she saw Uju, the teller's wife, walking quickly with a small black nylon bag. Mama Nkechi's eyes narrowed. She leaned closer to the pepper seller and whispered, "That woman is going to buy secret medicine for another man. I heard her marriage is shaking." Before the pepper seller could even open her mouth, it happened. Pra-pata-pata-pam. A loud, sharp fart shot out from Mama Nkechi's chair. The sound bounced off the market walls like someone beat a drum. The pepper seller's eyes went wide. Then the woman selling okra nearby froze. Then she covered her nose. Mama Nkechi sat there shocked. "Eh?" she muttered under her breath. She tried to act like nothing happened and continued her sentence. Another one came, louder, longer, like a trumpet announcing the king's arrival. The pepper seller burst into laughter. A man buying tomatoes bent over, slapping his knees. Children came running from the other side of the market just to hear the music from Mama Nkechi's buttocks. Uju, the teller's wife, stopped and turned around. "Nkechi, did I offend you?" she asked. "I'm just going to buy bread." Mama Nkechi's mouth was open, but no words came out. She felt her stomach bubbling again. She grabbed her basket and walked away fast, leaving the sound of her own disgrace behind her. Mama Nkechi's mouth was open, but no words came out. She felt her stomach bubbling again. She grabbed her basket and walked away fast, leaving the sound of her own disgrace behind. The market had found new entertainment, and that entertainment was her. By the time Mama Nkechi reached the main road, her shame was still fresh, but gossip was like palm wine to her. No matter how much trouble it cost, she couldn't resist a sip. She saw Chibuzo, the village carpenter, talking to a young woman by the roadside. The woman was new in town, wearing a bright yellow dress and holding a small bag. That was all Mama Nkechi needed to build a story in her head. She slowed down, pretended to adjust her wrapper, and called out to Mama Funke, who was selling bananas nearby. "You see that girl talking to Chibuzo? She is his..." Before she could finish, her stomach gave a warning rumble. She ignored it. Big mistake. Parapatapata-pam. It was so loud that the goats tied by the palm tree jumped. The banana seller dropped 2 bunches on the ground and started laughing. Even the new girl looked around, trying to find the source of the noise, until her eyes landed on Mama Nkechi's embarrassed face. "Mama Nkechi, please mind your stomach before you mind my life," Chibuzo said, shaking his head. Mama Nkechi muttered something about bad breeze and hurried off, but the damage was already done. By evening, children were following her around, making fat noises with their mouths and shouting, "Talk and blow, Mama Nkechi, madam, talk and blow." She locked her door that night, sat on the bed and pressed her hand against her belly. "This can't continue," she said to herself. "I need to find that old woman and untie my body." But deep down, she knew the problem wasn't just her belly, it was her mouth. The next morning, Mama Nkechi tied her wrapper tight and set out to find the old woman. She started at the market, asking every trader if they had seen a short, wrinkled woman with a crooked stick and eyes that could even cut yam. But no one could understand. Some people shook their head, others laughed in her face. One man selling palm wine said, I saw her 2 nights ago near the stream talking to the water. Maybe she's a spirit." Mama Nkechi rolled her eyes. Spirit or no spirit, she will remove this stain that she has put on me. She followed the dusty path to the stream. The place was quiet, except the sounds of water splashing against the stones. She waited and waited, but the old woman did not come. Instead, a group of children fetching water spotted her and decided to have fun. Auntie Nkechi one shouted, "Say something so the drum can play." The others laughed so hard, they nearly dropped their buckets. Mama Nkechi's jaw tightened. "When I catch you people, she warned." But she didn't dare talk too much in case the drum in her belly really answered. As she walked back, she passed by her neighbor Okonkwo's workshop. Okonkwo, the quiet carpenter, was repairing a stool. He looked up and said softly, "Mama Nkechi, you don't have to talk about everything you see." She stopped and looked at him. Nobody had ever told her that before without an insult. She didn't know whether to be angry or to think about it. That night, she lay in bed staring at the ceiling. Her mind replayed the words, "You don't have to talk about everything you see." But she also thought, if I keep quiet, won't this village be boring? The next day, Mama Nkechi woke up and promised herself she would not gossip, not even small talk. She told herself, today my mouth will rest. For the first few hours it worked. She went to the market, bought tomatoes, greeted everybody with only good morning and kept walking. She felt proud. Then she saw Mama Bisi pacing in front of her shop and looking worried. A strange man was standing inside, counting money. Mama Nkechi's curiosity started boiling like a soup on high fire. She walked past once. She walked past again. The story was already forming in her mind. Maybe Mama Bisi is selling her shop. Maybe she owes debt. Maybe that man is her secret husband from Lagos. She swallowed hard. Don't talk, she told herself. But when she spotted Mama Funke at the next store, she leaned in closer and whispered, "Have you seen that man in Parapiti-piti-pam?" The fart was so loud that the chickens behind the shop scattered. Mama Funke almost dropped her basket of oranges from laughing. Mama Bisi came outside and said, "Nkechi, before your mouth and your bottom finish you, let me tell you, that's my cousin. He came to help me fix my rent." People nearby shook their heads. One man said loudly, "Nkechi, you're a living drum set. 2 instruments in one body." She felt heat rise in her cheeks. She tried to walk away with dignity, but a little boy followed her behind, making trumpet noises with his mouth. By the time she reached home, the sound was stuck in her head like a bad song. That night, lying in bed, she sighed. Tomorrow I will find that old woman, even if I have to search the whole village. Early the next morning, Mama Nkechi tied 2 wrappers, grabbed her walking stick and set out. She decided she would not return home until she found the old woman. Her first shop was the palm wine joint. Old men were already sitting there drinking, like the sun was not even up. She greeted them and asked, "Have you people seen that short, wrinkled woman with a bent stick?" One of them squinted. "You mean Mama Ekutose?" That one is not ordinary. Another man chuckled. "If you see her, greet her well. Last time she cursed a man, his goat started dancing in the middle of the road." Mama Nkechi hissed, "I don't care if she made goats sing him book. She must untie me." She left and headed for the old footpath behind the church. That was when she saw trouble. 2 women, Ada and Kamsi, were standing in the middle of the road shouting over a boundary line between their farms. Their voices were so loud, even the birds kept quiet. When they saw Mama Nkechi, they both ran to her at the same time. "Auntie Kechi, tell her the land is mine," Ada shouted. "Don't mind her, she moved the boundary stone in the night," Kamsi yelled. Mama Nkechi's heart raced. This was her kind of drama, juicy and raw. But the last thing she wanted was to disgrace herself in the open. She opened her mouth to speak, then remembered the curse. She pressed her lips tight and raised her hands. "I will not talk about what I have not confirmed," she said slowly. Both women stared at her surprised. Ada whispered, "Since when?" Mama Nkechi ignored them and walked away. But inside, her tongue was itching. If she didn't find that old woman soon, she knew one day she would open her mouth and the whole village would hear her shame again. By midday, the sun was hot enough to roast granules. Mama Nkechi was tired and thirsty, but she refused to go home. She asked the hunter she met on the road if he had seen the old woman. The hunter scratched his beard. "I saw her near the stream yesterday, talking to herself, or maybe talking to the water. I didn't wait to find out." That was all Mama Nkechi needed. She hurried to the stream, her slippers kicking up dust. When she got there, she saw no sign of the old woman. She sat on a big rock to wait. As she sat, she overheard 2 young boys washing clothes nearby. They were whispering about a man in the village who had been caught with someone's wife. Mama Nkechi's ears sharpened. She leaned forward, pretending to adjust her wrapper so she could hear more. Then one of the girls noticed her and called out, "Auntie Nkechi, do you know who it is?" The whole habit jumped out before she could stop it. "Ah, is he not parapitipitim pam?" The sound echoed across the stream like a gunshot. The girls froze for half a second, then burst into uncontrollable laughter. One fell into the shallow water still laughing. Mama Nkechi's face burned from embarrassment. She stood up, grabbed her plastic bucket and marched away without another word. But she could hear them behind her chanting in between giggles, "Talk and blow, Mama Nkechi, talk and blow." As she walked, she muttered to herself, "This woman will not kill me. I must find her before my name in this village changes from Mama Nkechi to Mama Talk and Blow." 2 days passed and still no sign of the old woman. By now, Mama Nkechi's life had turned into a walking comedy show. People no longer asked her for gist. They just waited for her to open her mouth so that they could hear the music from her buttocks. On the 3rd morning, she was buying beans at the market when little Ebuka, the shoemaker's son, ran up to her. "Auntie Nkechi, my grandma knows that old woman you are looking for." Her eyes widened. "Which grandma?" "Grandma Wankego," Ebuka said proudly. She said that the woman's name is Mama Ekutose. They used to sell herbs nearby before Mama Ekutose left to live near the big shrine in Umuahia. Mama Nkechi's heart jumped. At last, a lead. She bent down and gripped Ebuka's shoulder. "Where exactly is this shrine?" Ebuka grinned mischievously. "If I show you, will you give me 20 naira? She rolled her eyes but dug into her wrapper for the money. The boy pocketed it and started walking, swinging his arms like a tour guide. But Ebuka was a troublemaker. On the way, he stopped to greet every single person and loudly announced, "We are going to find the woman who makes Auntie Nkechi blow trumpets from her buttocks." By the time they reached the shrine path, half the market already knew where she was going. A few curious people even followed at a distance, pretending they were going in the same direction. Mama Nkechi did not care. She just wanted her mouth free and her dignity back. But deep inside, she also knew something else. Even if the curse was lifted, would she really stop gossiping? The path to the shrine was narrow and covered with dry leaves. Every step made a crunching sound. Mama Nkechi's heart was beating fast, but not from fear. It was from annoyance. She could hear the goggles of the villagers trailing behind her like stubborn goats. At the top of a small hill, she saw a hut made of mud and palm fronds. Smoke curled from the roof. In front, sitting on a low stool, was the old woman herself, Mama Ekutosi. She was pounding something in a small mortar, humming a tune that didn't sound like any church song. Mama Nkechi marched forward. You are the one that tied my stomach to my mouth. Mama Ekutosi didn't even look up. She just kept pounding. If your stomach and mouth are now married, maybe it's because you are marrying lies to truth every day. I didn't come here for sermon, Mama Nkechi snapped. Remove what you put on me, now. Mama Ekutosi stopped pounding and finally looked at her. Her eyes were calm but sharp. And if I remove it, would you stop spreading what you have not confirmed? Mama Nkechi hesitated. She wanted to say yes, but she also knew she was lying. She had been gossiping since she was 15 years old. How could she change? Could she really change? The old woman smirked. You see, even your silence is gossiping now, telling me the truth you don't want to admit. From the bushes, the onlookers tried to hide their laughter. Mama Nkechi glared at them. This is not a comedy show, she barked. But deep down, she knew Mama Ekutosi had the upper hand. Mama Ekutosi stood up slowly, leaning on her stick. I can untie your mouth from your belly, she said, but you must pass 3 tests first. If you fail even one, the curse will stay, maybe even double. Mama Nkechi's eyes narrowed. Double, as in Mama Ekutosi said calmly. Every time you gossip, your belly will sink and your nose will sneeze at the same time. The crowd hiding in the bushes exploded into laughter. Mama Nkechi hissed, Fine, give me the test, I will pass them. Mama Ekutosi nodded. The first one is simple. Go for 3 days without talking about anybody else's business, not even small. Mama Nkechi frowned. 3 days without gist? That's like fasting without food. The second test, Mama Ekutosi continued, is to correct 3 lies that you've already told in the village. You must find the people you lied about, tell them the truth yourself, and ask for forgiveness. The crowd awed at that one. Mama Nkechi's lips tightened. She was already remembering some dangerous lies she had spread. And the third, Mama Ekutosi said, smiling, is to bring me one rumor that turned out to be completely true. Just one. Since you say you know everything, it would be easy. Mama Nkechi opened her mouth to argue but quickly shut it. She felt her stomach give a tiny warning bubble. She sighed. Fine, I'll do it. Mama Ekutosi sat back down and started pounding her herbs again like the matter was already settled. As Mama Nkechi walked back to the village, she realized something painful. The first test alone might finish her. Day 1 of no gossip challenge started well. Mama Nkechi woke up, swept her compound, boiled yam, and minded her business. She even greeted her neighbor Mama Funke without asking who had visited her the night before. By mid-morning, she went to the market for fresh pepper. She kept her head down, picked the best ones, and handed over her money without chatting. It felt strange, like wearing somebody else's shoe. But trouble has legs. As she was leaving, she had 2 women arguing at the Gary stall. One shouted, "You're a liar." The other yelled, "Say it again and I will slap you." Mama Nkechi's ear twitched. This was premium gist material. She slowed her steps, pretending to adjust her headscarf. Mama Funke spotted her. "Ah, Nkechi, come and hear what happened." "You know..." "No," Mama Nkechi interrupted, waving her hands. "I'm not hearing anything. I'm on a special prayer program." The women looked at her like she had grown a second head. One of them muttered, "Since when does Nkechi run away from Wahala?" She forced herself to keep walking, but by afternoon her mouth was itching like mosquito bites. Then she saw Chika, the tailor's apprentice, sneaking out of the bush path with her hair messy. Just small comments, she thought, just to ask where she's coming from. But before the words came out, her stomach made a small warning bubble. She bit her tongue, hissed at herself, and walked on. By evening, she was sweating from the effort of keeping quiet. 3 days suddenly felt like 3 years. Day 2 started badly. Mama Nkechi woke up with her head full of old gist she had been storing like firewood. She felt like a pot of soup about to boil over. She avoided the market and decided to fetch water instead. If I stay away from people, I won't hear anything to tempt me, she told herself. But when she got to the stream, temptation was waiting. 2 young boys were talking in low voices, glancing around. She caught the words, Pastor Emmanuel and night visit. Her ears pricked. She moved closer, pretending to wash her bucket. What about Pastor Emmanuel? She asked, before she could stop herself. The boys grinned. We saw him near Mama Rose's house last night. Mama Nkechi gasped, her eyes wide. Are you sure? Para piti piti pam pam. The fart echoed across the water like a motorbike starting. The boys collapsed in laughter, holding their stomach. One shouted, Auntie Nkechi, you didn't even last 2 days. She felt the heat rush to her face. She grabbed her bucket and stormed off, but every step she took, the boys were behind her, making trumpet sounds. By the time she got home, she knew the whole village would hear before sunset. She sat on her stool, covering her face with her hand. This woman will not kill me, she muttered. Let me just start the second test and leave this one alone. Mama Nkechi woke up early, determined to face the second test, correcting 3 lies she had told. She picked her first target, Chioma the widow. She once claimed she was pregnant for Nneze. She found Chioma frying akara by the roadside. Customers were lined up. Mama Nkechi cleared her throat. Chioma, I came to say something in front of everyone. The crowd went quiet. Chioma raised an eyebrow. That story I told you of being pregnant for Nneze, it was a lie. Gaps went around. One man chuckled. Chioma folded her arms. We knew it was a lie, but hearing you say it is like seeing rain in December. Before Mama Nkechi could defend herself, someone in the crowd shouted, Nkechi, who is next? This is sweeter than palm wine. Her second stop was Ugo the teller. She once told people he had a sickness because she saw him visit the nurse. She stood at his shop door and said, Ugo, that story I spread, it was not true. Ugo smiled but couldn't resist. The trumpet woman has turned to town crier for truth. The apprentices burst into laughter. The third one was Mama Bisi. Mama Nkechi had once claimed she was selling her shop to run away with a man from Lagos. She went to her store, looked at her in the eye and said, it was a lie. You weren't selling your shop. You weren't running anywhere. Mama Bisi leaned on the counter and said sweetly, it's okay, Nkechi, but you see, even if this course breaks, your mouth still needs breaks. By evening, the whole village knew she was on an apology tour. People started calling her Operation Confess and Blow, madam. The next morning, Mama Nkechi sat on her bed, scratching her head. The third test sounded easy. Find one rumor that turned out to be true. But the more she thought about it, the more she realized most of her news over the years had been pure invention. Still, she dressed and went to the market determined. Her first target was a rumor she had heard last month that Mazi Okafor's eldest son had secretly married a woman in another village. It had spread fast, and Mama Nkechi was sure it was true. She went straight to Mazi Okafor's store. I came to ask about your son's wedding, she said confidently. Mazi Okafor frowned. Wedding? My son is still in school. The only thing he married is his textbooks. Strike 1. Her second attempt was about Mama Rose's supposed pregnancy. She had overheard it from 2 women who swore they saw a baby bump. Mama Nkechi marched to Mama Rose's compound and asked directly. Mama Rose laughed so hard she nearly fell off her chair. Pregnancy? Is Fufu my sister? Too much Fufu. Strike 2. By late afternoon, she was desperate. She remembered one last rumor, that the new trader in the market was a former soldier. She approached him carefully. They say you served in the army. The man smiled. Yes, I did. Mama Nkechi clapped her hands in victory. Finally, one truth. But then he added, I was in Boy Scout army when I was 13. Strike 3. She trudged home in defeat. The only truth she had found was that she was very bad at finding the truth, and somehow that felt worse than the curse itself. By sunrise, Mama Nkechi decided there was no point delaying. She tied her scarf, squared her shoulders, and walked back to Mama Ekutosi's hut. The old woman was outside spreading herbs on a mat to dry. She didn't look surprised to see her, so she said without greeting, "How did my 3 tests go?" Mama Nkechi sighed. "I failed the test, the first one. I tried, but gist kept chasing me. I passed the second one. I corrected 3 lies. But the third one, every rumor I checked turned into dust." Mama Ekutosi chuckled. "So you see, your problem is not only your mouth, it is the factory for making gist from nothing." Mama Nkechi folded her arms. "So what now? Are you going to remove this curse or leave me here as the village trumpet?" The woman tapped her chin. "There is a bonus challenge. Pass it and I will remove the curse. Fail it and you will live with it until your last day." Mama Nkechi's eyes narrowed. "What is it?" "You will go 1 full market day," Mama Ekutosi said slowly. "Not only without gossip, but also without answering any question about anyone else, even if they provoke you, even if they tempt you with sweet fresh gist." Mama Nkechi's jaw dropped. "So if someone is doing something suspicious in front of me, I should just keep quiet like a carved statue?" "That's exactly the test," the old woman said, smiling. "If you survive from sunrise to sunset, your belly and your mouth will be divorced." As Mama Nkechi walked home, she thought, "This one is harder than fasting from food. I might need to lock myself inside my house." Market day came and Mama Nkechi was ready for war. She woke up early, locked her mouth the way a miser locks his money box, and marched to the square. Her plan was simple: buy what she needed, go home, and hide until sunset. But the village had other plans. The first attack came from Mama Funke waiting at the yam store. "Nkechi, abeg, who was that man I saw living at that compound last night?" she asked, eyes shining. Mama Nkechi swallowed hard and forced a smile. Asked her that, she turned away before her belly betrayed her. The second attack came from the pepper seller. "Did you hear about the fight in front of the palm wine joint?" "They say, not my business," Mama Nkechi cut in, grabbing her pepper and walking fast. By midday, she was sweating from the effort. Everywhere she turned, someone was weaving fresh gossip like a roasted corn in her face. Even Okonkwo, the quiet carpenter, stopped her to say, "Have you noticed how?" "No," she almost shouted, "I have not noticed anything." By late afternoon, the crowd in the market had figured out what was happening. People began playing a game, trying to make Mama Nkechi sleep. One man even staged a fake argument with his wife just to see if she would comment. She bit her tongue until it hurt. Finally, the gong sounded to close the market. She dragged herself home, exhausted but triumphant. Her stomach had been silent all day. She lay on her bed, smiling weakly. "If I can survive today, maybe there is hope for me after all." The next moment, Mama Nkechi woke up with a bounce in her step. She had survived the bonus challenge without a single disgraceful sound, and now she was ready to collect her freedom. She marched straight to Mama Ekutosi's hut. The woman was outside, grinding herbs with a smooth stone. "I did it," Mama Nkechi announced proudly. 1 full market day, not a single word about anybody's business, not even small. Mama Ekutosi looked up slowly, her face unreadable. So you want the curse removed?" "Of course, remove it before someone dies of laughter in this village." The old woman tapped her stick on the ground. "All right, but there is one final step." Mama Nkechi's eyes narrowed. "Another step? You said bonus challenge was the last one." "Yes, but before I untie you, you must stand in the village square and tell everyone you failed the first 2 tests." Mama Nkechi put her hands on her hips. "So you want me to become a free announcement for my own disgrace?" "That's your choice," Mama Ekutosi said. "Announce it and I remove the curse. Refuse and you keep your music." On her way home, Mama Nkechi muttered to herself, "This woman is either very wise or very wicked." By midday, Mama Nkechi stood in the middle of the village, her scarf tied so tight it could hold her head together if it burst from shame. She cleared her throat. "My people, I have come to say that I failed. I failed the first 2 tests Mama Ekutosi gave me," she said quickly. "The first test, I could not stop gossiping for 3 days. Laughter erupted immediately. One man called out, 'Even a chicken can keep quiet for longer.' She raised her hand for silence. The second test, I could not find one rumor that was true. Mama Nkechi fought the urge to insult people who were laughing at her. She just kept repeating, "Yes, I failed, but I'm saying it so the curse can end." From the side, Mama Ekutosi nodded slowly. As Mama Nkechi walked away, the villagers followed her, still laughing, but this time there was a little respect hidden inside the laughter. She had stood in the middle and faced them without running. The next morning, Mama Nkechi went to Mama Ekutosi's hut for the final time. She didn't even knock. "I have done everything you asked me. Untie me now before my nickname becomes Trumpet Radio forever." Mama Ekutosi smiled faintly. "Follow me." She led Mama Nkechi to the stream. The villagers, curious as ever, followed in a crowd. Some came with calabashes of palm wine, others with roasted corn, ready to enjoy the show. At the water's edge, Mama Ekutosi brought out a small calabash filled with something that looked like palm oil mixed with herbs. She dipped her fingers into it and touched Mama Nkechi's forehead, chest and stomach. "In the name of truth," she said slowly, "I separate this woman's mouth from her belly. May her words no longer carry wind, unless it is the wind of wisdom." The villagers giggled at the last part. Then Mama Ekutosi handed her a small cup from a calabash. "Drink." Mama Nkechi sniffed it suspiciously. "What is in it?" "Drink first, ask later," the old woman replied. She drank and immediately her face twisted. "Ah, this thing tastes like bitter leaf." Mama Ekutosi clapped her hands. "It is done." The crowd waited. Someone shouted, "Test her, give her gist." A woman stepped forward. "Nkechi, did you hear that, Nneze?" "No comment," Mama Nkechi said firmly. The crowd listened for any suspicious sound from her belly. Silence. They clapped and cheered. But as she walked away, Mama Nkechi muttered to herself, "Curse or no curse, I still like smudges, sha." A week later, the village woke up to chaos. Someone had started a rumor that the chief's eldest son had run away with a trader's daughter. By midday, the story was flying from mouth to mouth like a loose chicken. Mama Nkechi sat outside her house, quietly shelling granules. She could hear people passing by, repeating different versions of the tale. One neighbor stopped and called out, "Nkechi, you must know the real story. Tell us, is it true?" She smiled faintly. "I don't know, and even if I did, I wouldn't say until I was sure." They looked shocked. "Eh? So you've really changed?" Before she could answer, a group of children ran past, singing the old song, "Talk and blow, Mama Nkechi talk and blow." But this time, their voices were playful, almost affectionate. In the evening, Okonkwo the carpenter passed by and said, "It's strange, Nkechi. The village is quieter without your broadcast, but it's also peaceful." She chuckled. Peace is the sweetest of all. As the sun set, she thought about everything. The shame, the test, the temptation, and how she had learned to hold her tongue. She still loved gist, but now it tasted differently. Somewhere deep down her, she knew she might sleep again one day, but for now, she was content to be the woman who had learned that not every truth must be spoken, and that every lie carries its own wind. The breeze that evening was gentle, and for once, it came only from the trees. The moral of this story is, words are powerful, and once spoken, they cannot be taken back. So always confirm the truth before you speak, or your own mouth will disgrace you. It also teaches that gossip might be sweet in the moment, but it can destroy trust, dignity, and relationships. True respect comes from self-control, and silence at the right time can carry more power than the loudest voice. Thank you for listening to this amazing story. If you enjoyed this story, please like, comment, share, and let us know what you think about the story. I would love to hear from you. See you in the next story. Bye.